Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Obsessive Compulsive Gaming. I am the Obsessive Compulsive Gamer, and this is my review for SENUA'S SAGA HELLBLADE 2. So dear viewers, this particular video game originally released in 2024. A year I remember fondly as the year I played a bloody lot of video games. Haha! I didn't even have time to go to the toilet or anything. But we are not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about HELLBLADE 2. More specifically, the enhanced edition that just released this very week for my beloved PlayStation 5. And just like that beautiful bearded bastard Barry Bertrum, you're probably wondering,
what is this? What is it? What is this?
SENUA'S SAGA HELLBLADE 2 is a direct sequel to 2017's HELLBLADE SENUA'S Sacrifice, a game I have lovingly awarded a 10 out of 10 for. But is the sequel just as good? Well, let's find out by reviewing this action-adventure video game the only way I know how, badly. And let's start with what I absolutely adore about SENUA'S SAGA. For a start, though the original game was positively gorgeous on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, it looks positively like an old banger compared to this newer, shinier automobile. The graphics here are so damn photorealistic that at one point I thought a bitch was going to climb out of the television and murder me. Speaking of murdering me, this game really ups the ante on the original game's horror factor. Now, of course, these video games would probably not be considered to be horror video games, but I can assure you, dear viewers, that SENUA'S SAGA toes that fine line between action-adventure game and full-blown horror title that'll make you pull your underpants. And don't get me wrong, the original game was scary in its own right and did have a lot of psychological horror elements to it, but this game, well, let's just say without spoiling anything, this game has some monsters in it that'll make you want to reach for the nearest bottle of holy water and or hard liquor. Now, I mentioned the action-adventure aspects of this game, and most of that comes down to the exploration. Locations in 9th century Iceland, rather stunning vistas, lots of inspiration from Norse mythology and culture, and of course we have combat, which, like my best friend in high school, Eugene, is incredibly simple, and unlike Eugene, is also incredibly satisfying to boot. You have a quick attack, you have a heavy attack, you can parry attacks, you can dodge out of the way, you know, all the basic stuff. And compared to the first game, the combat here is tighter, faster, and unlike my best friend in high school, Eugene, it's not repetitive in the slightest. Seriously, I lost count of the amount of times Eugene thought it was appropriate to tell me how he lost his virginity to a garden gnome. Oh, what else do I love about SENUA'S SAGA? You'll be happy to hear that a lot of the deeper and darker themes of the original game, SENUA'S struggle with psychosis, all of that is present and correct here. And just like the original game, it is handled expertly. I was also very pleasantly I can barely speak. I was also again, can't bloody speak. I was also very pleasantly surprised to see that this game has a whole cast of characters. I mean, yes, the original game did have flashbacks, hallucinations, but in this game, we actually get to interact with a whole cast of characters. We even befriend some of them. There's a particularly nice character arc with a slaver character. And that's all I'll say about that. I can guarantee, dear viewers, if you're a fan of the original game, you are going to be a fan of this game. But was there anything I didn't like so much about Senua's Saga? I only have two itty bitty nitpicks about Senua's Saga. In fact, they're so nitpicky that they will not affect my score for the game whatsoever. Not that I usually give scores to video games. I might do it for this one though. The first little niggle is, one thing I absolutely adored about the original game was its soundtrack, and I just didn't find the music in this entry to be as good. Like I say, minor nitpick. The music's still very, very good, just not as good as the original. Also, I do think the game ends rather abruptly, and it might leave some of you scratching your head like it did me in my first playthrough. I did play through the entire game again, and I do still feel it was a little bit abrupt. I would have liked just a little bit more. But like I say, these are two very small niggles for what is, I declare, a complete and utter masterpiece. Therefore, I declare that Senua's Saga HELLBLADE 2 gets a 10 out of 10. And on a rather interesting note, dear viewers, every single video game from this game's talented developers, Ninja Theory, has received a 10 out of 10 from me. Be it Heavenly Sword, Enslaved Odyssey to the West, DMC Devil May Cry, Senua's Sacrifice, and now Senua's Saga. I can't think of another game developer who I've given 10 out of 10s to for every single main game they've made. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, my review for Senua's Saga Enhanced on the PlayStation 5. If you enjoyed this little review of mine, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't enjoyed it, well then, feel free to give me a thumbs down. But please remember the single most important thing I always tell you, dear viewer, and that is to always stay obsessed with gaming. Are you still here? Oh, you must have really enjoyed this video then. In that case, you had better subscribe to the channel and check out our other content. Otherwise, you're a booby pants, and no one wants to be a booby pants.